Hello and welcome back to another video on ratio, proportion and percentage from the 2003 to the 2007 past year PSLE mathematics questions paper series. So without any further ado, let's begin. In March, Sunshine Kindergarten was given a sum of $2,000. It spent 10% of this sum on books, 70% of this sum on food, and the remaining money on cleaning services. In April, the sum given was reduced. The kindergarten spent the same amount of money on books and reduced its spending on food by $240. It spent the remaining 20% of the sum given in April on cleaning services. By what percentage was the sum given to the kindergarten reduced? So this is similar to a before and after question. So in March, the kindergarten was given a total sum of $2,000 and it spent 10% of this money on books. So it's 10% into 2,000, which gives us $200. And then 70% on food. 70% of 2,000, which is $1,400, and the rest on cleaning services. So I'll represent that by CS for cleaning services. 2,000 minus 200 minus 1,400, which gives us $400. Right? Now in April, the sum given was reduced. So this is for March. In April, the sum given was reduced, but we don't know by how much. So we don't know what the total is. The kindergarten spent the same amount of money on books. So on books, it still spent $200, right? And reduced its spending on food by $240. So food in March it spent $1,400, and then it reduced by $240 in April, minus $240. This gives us $1,160, right? And then after that, it spent the remaining 20% of the sum on cleaning services. Right? Now we don't know how much they spent on cleaning services because we don't know what the total is. So we only know that they spent 20% of the total. Right? So this means that the total amount of money spent on books and food accounted for 100 minus 100% minus 20%, which gives us 80% of the money. So the total amount of money spent on books and food combined accounted for 80% of the money, right? So how much money did they spend on books plus food in April? So this is still in April, right? The amount of money spent on books plus food is equals to $1,160 plus books is 200. My bad. Books is $200 plus $1,160, which gives us $1,360, and this accounts to 80% of the total. So 80% of the total T is equals to $1,360. So this means that 100% of T, or in other words, the total amount of money they received in April is equals to divided by 80 times 100. And what does this give us? $1,700. $1,700. Now, by what percentage was the sum given to the kindergarten reduced? What this means is how much money, the difference in, or rather the percentage of difference between the amount of money given in April and the amount of money given in March. So to calculate that, we use a formula, original, the original amount of money, I'll just say original amount of money minus the new amount of money over the original amount of money times 100%. So in this case, the original amount of money represents the amount of money in March, and the new amount of money represents the total amount of money they received in April. So this equates to original, which is $2,000, minus new, which is $1,700, over the original times 100%. And what does this give us? This gives us 300 over 2,000, which is about, which is 15%. So the percentage of sum given to the kindergarten in April reduced by 15%. So that's the answer. Box X and Y contained only blue and red pens. In X, the ratio of number of blue pens to the number of red pens was 5:4, and in Y, the ratio of number of blue pens to the number of red pens was 5:1. There were 3 times as many pens in X as compared to Y. Part A. What was the ratio of the number of blue pens in X to the number of red pens in Y? Give your answer in its simplest form. Okay, so in box X, the ratio, in box X, the ratio of, actually I should use a different color. In box X, the ratio of blue pens to red pens is 5:1. We have 5 and we have 1. And let's look at the total, and this gives us, this is 5:4, not 1, and this gives us 9, right? And in box Y, the ratio of number of blue pens to the number of red pens is 5:1, and the total, again in this case, would be 6 units, or rather 6. Now we know that the ratio of blue to red pens in both boxes X and Y. We need to express them as a common ratio. So what we know is that there were 3 times as many pens in X as compared to Y, right? And if Y has 16, if Y has 6 units of pens, then based on the question, X should have 6 times 3, which gives us 18 units of pens, right? And if we see, the total number of pens in X is 9 parts, and the total number of pens in Y is 6 parts. So we need to express the ratio in X such that the total is 3 times the total in Y, which in this case is 18. So the total in X is 9 parts. To get this 9 in terms of 18, we have to first do 18 divided by 9, which gives us 2. So this tells us by how many units, or by how many parts, we must multiply the number of pens, the ratio of pens in X to achieve 18 parts, which gives us, in this case, it's 2. So we multiply all the 3 values by 2, and what do we get? We have 10 blue pens to 8 red pens to 18 in total. So now if you see, there are 18 total parts in X, there are 6 total parts in Y, and 18 divided by 6 is 3, and this is the 3 that we wanted. It's stated in the question as well. So now we have that. We need to express the ratio of blue pens in X to the number of red pens in Y. So in X, the number of blue pens is 10. So let's express it as a ratio. Number of blue pens in X to the number of red pens in Y. And the number of blue pens in X is 10 units. In Y it's, and the number of red pens in Y is 1 unit. So this ratio cannot be further simplified, and meaning this means it's already in its simplest form, right? So the ratio of blue pens in X to the number of red pens in Y is 10:1. That's for part A. Part B, when 66 red pens were put into Y, the ratio of the number of blue pens to the number of red pens in Y became 3:5. How many red pens were there in box Y then? Okay, so this is a before and after question. So before, the number of red pens, the ratio of number of blue pens to the number of red pens was 5:1, and then after an additional input of 66 new red pens, the final ratio, which is the after, for number of blue pens to number of red pens, became 3:5. So now in this case, the only thing that's changing is the number of red pens because of this input of 66 new red pens, whereas the number of blue pens remains constant. So what we must do is we must express 5 and 3 as, we must find the lowest common multiple of 5 and 3. Okay, so for those of you who are unsure what lowest common multiple means, lowest common multiple is the smallest number which has both 5 and 3 as a factor. So in this case, the number turns out to be 15, because 15 is 5 times 3, right? And the factors of 15 are 1 times 15 and 3 times 5. So 15 turns out to be the lowest common multiple of 3 and 5, right? So what we have to do is we have to express it as we have to express 5 and 3 as an LCM. So we have, if we multiply the before value by 3, what do we get? I will recreate this ratio. So what we have to do is we have to multiply the before value by 3 to get 15 for blue pens, right? So if I multiply 5 by 3, what do we get? 15 blue pens, and number of red pens by 3, we get 3 red pens, and then we have an input of 66 red pens, and then after, the ratio of blue to red pens is 3:5, and we need to express this 3 as a 15. So we multiply this by 5, and we get 15 blue pens. So similarly, if we multiply the number of blue pens by 5, we must also multiply the number of red pens by 5 to maintain a constant ratio of 3:5. So 5 times 5 is what? 25. So you get 25. So now there is no change in the number of blue pens before and after. It remains the same at 15 units. But when 66 new red pens are added, the number of red pens increases from 3 units to 25 units. Correct? So this shows that 3 units plus 66 is equals to 25 units. This is for red pens. So if we bring this 3 unit over the others, if we subtract 3 units from both sides, we get 66 is equals to 25 units minus 3 units, which gives us 22 units. So 22 units is equals to 66. So this means that 1 unit is 66 divided by 22, which gives us 3 pence in 1 unit. So the question asks, how many red pens were there in box Y then? When they say then, they are referring to the total number of red pens at the end and not at the start. This is important because many people here tend to make a mistake, and frankly speaking, I made a mistake when solving this question originally. So we need to find the number of red pens at the end, and at the end there were 25 units of red pens. So if one unit is if one unit has 3 pens, then 25 units would be 25 times 3, which gives us 75 pence. So at the end, he had the number of red pens in box Y was 75. So that was all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found it helpful. And if you did, don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and that bell icon to be notified whenever I post a new video. Furthermore, please do help me achieve my goal of helping as many people as possible by sharing these videos to other people you know, so that even they can benefit. Last but not least, if you have any doubts or questions, feel free to put them down in the comment section below, and I would do my best to answer them. So yeah, do stay tuned for my next video. Until then, goodbye.